Hi, I'm Geoff Lyons and I'm looking back at the weekend's Premier League games. Let's start with Burnley versus Crystal Palace. Well, Alan Pardew continued his unbeaten run since taking over from Neil Warnock. Pardew seems to have more faith in striker Dwight Gale than his predecessor. The former non-league striker has certainly repaid that faith with 2 more goals. I'm sure the Palace faithful are drawing comparisons with the legendary Ian Wright. The comparisons are there for all to see, as Gale possesses the similar fox-in-the-box attributes that will surely see Pardew's charges gravitate towards mid-table safety. As for Burnley, another wholehearted performance, but their lack of real quality means survival remains very much in the balance. Swansea versus Chelsea. Well, this proved to be a non-contest, with Swansea guilty of total naivety. Chelsea's vastly superior personnel requires a more defensively minded approach. Trying to go toe-to-toe with the league leaders on a footballing level was always going to prove disastrous. Swansea will no doubt miss their talisman, Wilfred Boney, not just for his goals, but for his target and link-up play. However, they have many inferior squads in the league, so Swansea have enough to ensure Premier League safety. As for Chelsea, they look to have strength in every department. In Diego Costa, they have a striker that looks ready-made for the rigours of Premier League football. His regular goal contribution could be just enough to give them the title. Spurs versus Sunderland. Sunderland paid the price for some poor defending. The plus for them is the signing of Jermaine Defoe. He'll provide them with some much needed potency in attack. He's capable of scoring 10 goals between now and the end of the season. That will be enough to keep Gus Poyet's men up. Spurs will always be comfortable against teams below them. I still feel they're lacking enough quality to trouble the big four of Chelsea, Arsenal and the 2 Manchester clubs. QPR versus Manchester United. Well, Man United's superior all-round quality was enough to give them the points. I've no doubt Van Gaal's team will, come the end of the campaign, occupy a top 4 place with regular custodians Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal. The truth is, these clubs have the strongest squads and greater resources. For QPR, they're perhaps too reliant on Charlie Austin. Harry needs to bring another striker capable of sharing the scoring responsibilities. I still feel they possess just enough to retain Premier League football. Newcastle versus Southampton. Well, Ronald Koeman has to be the contender for manager of the season. He continues to get the very best out of what is a modest squad in relative terms. I honestly can't see Southampton maintaining a top 4 position. Although, considering the naysayers predicting relegation at the start of the campaign, a top 8 finish will be deemed as success. Southampton, it has to be said, did ride their luck against a brittle-looking Newcastle. Newcastle themselves are in desperate need of an experienced man at the helm. That might just give them the stability they've conspicuously lacked in recent seasons. Villa versus Liverpool. Well, Paul Lambert has to be concerned at his team's lack of real firepower. The Christian Benteke of 18 months ago might have provided enough quality to have at least taken a point from this game. Alas, the Belgian international has yet to recapture that sensational form. Liverpool, well, they'll be grateful for another 3 points, but still look a shadow of the force they were last season. They're inching up the table, but I honestly can't see them finishing higher than 6th. Villa, however, could just find themselves sliding towards the trap door. They will always be heavily reliant on their talisman Benteke, on his day as good as any striker in this league. Alas, those days are worryingly becoming more infrequent. Leicester versus Stoke. Well, Leicester looked a side bereft of both confidence and quality. I always felt Nigel Pearson needed to reinforce his squad more than he did in the summer. Then again, in his defence, that could be said for all the promoted clubs. The early season euphoria has now been replaced by an anxiety in their play. As for Stoke, they are what they are, a mid-table side. They'll always be comfortable against the teams struggling for survival, although perhaps falling a little short against the top 6 teams. I'm sure the club's pre-season mid-table objectives will be comfortably achieved. Arguably, the happiest manager from this result would be Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho, although Arsene Wenger will recognise the significance of this victory. Their record at City in recent seasons suggested a win was perhaps beyond his side. Arsenal have been accused of lacking the necessary steel to match their undoubted creative strength. This was a result about resilience as much as flair. City, while they continue to show a lack of consistency that has to be a concern for Pellegrini. They'll hope new signing Wilfred Boney can provide fresh impetus to a squad that has yet failed to match last season's league-winning form. West Ham vs Hull. West Ham had too much for a disappointing Hull City. Sam Allardyce has been shrewd with the acquisition of the classy Alex Song and for rejuvenated Stuart Downing's career. Downing thriving in his new central midfield role that will no doubt have alerted Roy Hodgson. Steve Bruce's charges, well, they're looking destined for a very tough second half of the campaign. No doubt Bruce will be looking to add to his squad during the transfer window.